touch base with another key voice from the industry, from the financial industry in the markets. Rashesh Shah, Chairman and CEO, Edelweiss Group, joins us on the show right now. Mr. Shah, good to have you on the show. Great speaking to you after a while. What's the call that you're taking, firstly, on the market? Do you think that this market is going to be ranged for a while before we can see any sort of trigger to take the markets higher from 7,800? So for the interim, that's pretty much the top.
I think our view has always been that, the earnings and the fundamentals have to catch up. And I think all the investors are still very positive. The global investors, even the local institutional investors who are getting a lot of inflows. There is a sense of optimism. There is a positive element. But the hurry to invest, the hurry to buy almost any stock that was going up, which was there maybe 3 months ago, has obviously gone away. And most investors are saying they'll study, they're looking at companies, earnings growth, management, all of that. So I think it's going to be a slow and steady, very, very stock selective investment regime for the next 3 to 6 months.
Morning, Rashesh. Nikunj Dalmia also joining in. Rashesh, there's an innate feeling in the market that tomorrow we will get something big bang from Prime Minister Modi in his maiden Independence Day address. Should one expect something big tomorrow?
I think there has been a lot of expectation, and I think largely built up by the media around everything. And obviously, the Prime Minister has been fairly quiet on any announcement for some time. So there is a lot of expectation. But over the years, I have not seen any PM making big economic announcements on August 15th, because August 15th is not the platform for economic, policy announcements. So I would expect a lot of announcements around India and social issues and maybe foreign affairs and all. But unlikely that we should expect a lot of economic-led announcements tomorrow. I think currently the government is trying to go after the low-hanging fruit, fix a lot of things gradually. A lot of incremental improvement is where the focus is, and there is a school of thought amongst investors that maybe the big bang announcements will come after the state elections are over, because until the state elections are done, the government may not want to take risk of alienating anybody. So I think if you want to see structural reforms, some of them may be unpopular. You should think that they will come after the state elections.
I think the point there on the expectations from tomorrow's speech is really to do with the fact that the Prime Minister is a media savvy person. He's known to take time his statement of intents well. So do you think that is a part of the expectation that, maybe in terms of not direct economic reform, but he could state his broad vision for the economy, especially the sector that he supports so strongly, which is infrastructure?
Yeah, but again, as I said, I think these expectations have been created by the media largely, because if you go back and see last, 20-30 years, no Prime Minister has used August 15th as an economic agenda, pronouncement platform. So it's unlikely is what I would say. He will obviously speak about growth and development and all, but to expect specific economic policies around infrastructure or anything would be too much to expect. If it is there, well and good, but I think August 15th is not, he is very media savvy, but his eye will be towards India as a whole, including the communal issues which are currently in the news, the social issues, the coming state elections, the global affairs. I would think he would, I think August 15th will be the platform for all those areas rather than specific economic-led items.
Okay, Mr. Shah, just stay on with us. We'll head into a short break right now, but when we come back, we'll carry on this exclusive conversation with Rashesh Shah of Edelweiss.
Welcome back. Another large deal in Aurobindo Pharma. Aurobindo Pharma, 82,000 shares. There is a large trade even in Jindal Steel, that is JSPL. It is trading at 276 rupees. Oil marketing stocks also are flaring up quite smartly, courtesy the weakness in crude. So as a policy sensitive group today, OMCs are making a comeback. BPCL of course has been a marked outperformer, and there you go, fresh price volume breakout is there on IOC. It has recovered surely from the day's low, but BPCL is where the star concentration is and where the price action is. Rashesh, I'd like to draw your attention to what is happening in the banking sector. NPA concerns, bad loans, what's going on? Just when it appeared that NPA concerns would come down, economy was on a mend, fresh NPA concerns have surfaced up.
No, I think overall for the last quarter what we are seeing is NPAs are not getting worse. Obviously the old restructured loans, a few of them are becoming NPAs now, but I think there is no more unknown that is there in the sector anymore. So if you were looking at both NPAs and the restructuring, you had a fairly good estimate, which is what most analysts had on what is the real, the bad assets in the industry. And on that count, I think there is no huge unpleasant surprise that has come out, but I think the system, it will take, according to us, maybe another couple of years, has to work these assets out. Part of them will get revived as the projects get completed, part of them will be sold to ARCs, and overall I think it will take a couple of years for the banking sector to work the NPAs out, but the NPAs are not going up, but they are still there.
But does it seem like a black hole right now? Because just when things were seeming like, with the new government and policy initiatives, recapitalization measures, asking PSU banks to sell non-core assets, raise their own funds, that this just comes as a bit of an uncertainty that investors potentially may not want to deal with.
Yeah, I think absolutely right. I think the few issues that the Indian banking sector has is they are undercapitalized. They don't have enough capital for growth as and when credit growth comes back in the economy, and I think they need a fair amount of equity capital. So that is a large issue, and there are some answers to that, but I don't think a complete answer to that problem has yet emerged. So they are undercapitalized, but that's a drag on growth potential. The other is the current bad assets that they have. As I said, the good news is that not a lot more bad assets are coming in. So what you see is now fairly clear. But even what is there is, according to I think a lot of people, is about between 4 to 5% of the banking industry assets. So this is a fairly large amount, and this needs to be cleaned up. This needs to be worked. As I said, partial revival, restructuring, partial recovery, partial selling it off to ARCs, and this coupled with recapitalization is where the banking industry will get back on strong footing. So what you have seen up till now have been ideas, have been announcements, have been pronouncements that have happened, but we are yet to see real action. So we are hoping that in the second half of this year, from October to March, we should see some of these things falling in place.
Ashish, I'm going to ask you a specific question about Edelweiss. When you announced a buyback plan, the stock price was at 45 rupees. The current market price is above 50. What happens to the buyback now? You will not get any shares.
Yeah, as you know, in India, when we announced the buyback, the stock price was around 30 rupees, and it had been 30 for quite some time, last couple of years. So I think our board decided that when we're doing the buyback, what we thought was very aggressive, saying we'll buy up to 45 rupees. And in India, by law, you have to announce an upper cap of up to what price you will execute the buyback. So that was at 45 rupees. So, and the usual buyback is open for about a year. So if it comes under 45, then we will be obviously executing the buyback, because the buyback is still on, in the sense the announcement that we made, we also were able to buy a few shares. So the buyback is on. If it comes under 45, we have a committee that decides this. They will continue to buy, but unfortunately you can't revise the price upwards, and you can't buy above 45.
What is happening to the capital market business, given the way our market volatility has been? Is your margin funding book coming under pressure?
No, I think overall, as the stock prices have gone up in the last 3-4 months, and I think if you have good risk management and collateral cover, as you would have seen in our analyst presentation, in most of the loans and and the margin funding book, we have, between 1.8 to 2.5 times kind of collateral cover. So you are adequately covered. You have to do risk management. Ultimately, all credit is a risk business. But overall, I think things have got easier. Even liquidity, on the other hand, has become a lot easier. The last 5-6 months have been very good liquidity environment in India. So there is a lot of ample liquidity, which is also helping companies and investors and all. And asset prices have been fairly stable. In fact, this all the small cap, mid caps are still, trading fairly high than what they were about 5-6 months ago. So on the whole, I think asset prices, liquidity, overall, I think on this collateralized credit, there should be comfort overall for everybody.
I'm talking about a specific exposure. A specific exposure what Edelweiss has to Bhushan Steel.
No, it's a book. We have more than 100 companies as clients in this, and we usually avoid talking about specific cases because there is no point adding to speculation in the market. But I would say we've been in this business for a long time. We are one of the leaders in what we call structured credit, opportunity. And in structured credit, you have to obviously, you closely monitor risk, manage risk and all. But there is always media speculation. For the last 8 years, I think every time the market has fallen, there has been media speculation about something or the other. So rather than react to media speculation, our approach is we'll continue to manage risk, we'll continue to manage, our portfolio very well. And we have a fairly large and diversified portfolios. We are fairly adequately covered. And as of now, we have not been affected for the last 8 years through the bad volatility in the market, and I'm confident we'll continue to manage it. But yeah, there is risk in the book, that is always there, because as I said earlier, all credit is about risk and about risk management.
Fair enough. But given where the market is right now, and your business being a derivative of what the financial markets are doing, do you think that this is a right time to kind of reset the model, across businesses to kind of prepare yourself for the next turn, the next up move? And if so, how are you doing that? How are you, kind of preparing yourself or conditioning yourself to benefit from an upcycle?
True, if you see, with the last about 4 years, we have re-engineered the business from being only capital markets. We now have capital markets, credit, housing, finance, commodities, insurance. Asset management has also grown. Even our distressed asset business has been scaling up fairly well. So now what we have achieved in the last few years has been a broad-based and fairly well-diversified business model. So all these businesses are obviously India-centric, and they are correlated to the economic growth and the economic activity in India. Each of the business has its own nuances, has its own cycle. So we are fairly well diversified, and for the last 3 years we've been able to manage an average 25 to 30% growth rate, which we think will continue. And fortunately, we have not scaled back from any businesses. Last couple of years we have added to capacity, even in the broking and investment banking business, because we do believe that about a year ago India's fundamentals started improving a little bit, and we believe the next 8-10 years Indian economy will grow. Maybe it will grow at about 6%. Hopefully it will grow at higher than 6%. But even around that growth rate, there is going to be a lot of activity in financial services. There is going to be a lot of opportunity for growth, and the idea is to, in a very calibrated manner, build your capacity, strengthen the institution, as well as I said earlier, manage risk and compliance very closely. If you can do this, I think the next 8-10 years on financial services, we are still very optimistic.
30 seconds. If Rashesh Shah, the investor, has to invest right now, where would he invest in this market?
I think what we are investing, what we are advising to most investors is a broad portfolio allocation, and our current is, I think, about 40 to 50% should be in the global oriented sectors like IT and pharma, and they have been evergreen, and we do feel that the scope for even growth for the next 5-7 years in these sectors is very good, as the US economy has started coming back. So IT pharma should be about, I think, half the portfolio, and the other half should be India-led sectors which are more correlated with the economic growth, especially sectors like Indian private sector banks, which we think are very strong and still fairly reasonably valued. So there are a lot of opportunities. A lot of the small cap, mid caps also have started coming back strongly. Growth is underway. So I think there is a lot of investment opportunity that is there for investors now, and a good mix between India and global oriented sectors is a very prudent way of approaching it.
Mr. Shah, thanks very much for joining us as always to give insights to your own business and also sharing with us your outlook for the market. Appreciate your time. Before we wrap up, as always, get an ideas from Ashwini.